Welcome to the Very Cari podcast, where today we are going to talk about my top tricks and tips on staying on track with your eating and your health. Stay tuned. You're not going to want to miss it. You found the Very Cari podcast. Grab yourself a cup of coffee and snuggle in while you and I chat about all things faith, wellness, and healing. Welcome to the Very Cari podcast. I'm circling back around to health. Now, in this podcast, we talk about faith, we talk about healing, we talk about health, and I do a lot of faith because you know my saying, say it with me, if it ain't about Jesus, I ain't about it. I'm gonna get a sticker made. Can somebody make me a decal that says that? If Cari ain't about Jesus, she ain't about it. But today I want to circle back around to health. And of course, I'm still going to bring up God because the good Lord is the center, should be the center. So today I want to talk about some of the tips and tricks that I use to help keep my health on track. Now, at the time of this recording, I have kept off over 100 pounds for, I have to see how old kids are. Hold on. 14 years, 13 years. So I used to weigh about 270, and this morning I was 151, just like being completely transparent. Is there anything else you'd like to know how tall I am? Well, I like to say that I'm 5'7". I like to think I'm 5'8". Probably I'm closer to 5'6". Oh, age. Anyway, there are, back to the topic at hand, there are some things that I like to do to help keep myself on track with my health. This is not spirituality. There are spiritual components, but this is more about health. So I put together my top tricks and tips. That's a hard one to say. Are you ready? If you see me, I'm looking down at my this is for those of you that are watching on YouTube, it's a high-tech podcast, y'all. Listen, notes scribbled on my notebook paper. There is a scripture that says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not onto your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your path." Which brings me to tip number 1, you have to stay connected. You have to stay connected. In order to stay on track with your health, being a part of some sort of connection is very important. We just do not operate as humans alone in a vacuum. I think we wish we could. I'm always amazed at those shows like the Alaska shows where people go up alone or they live on these remote places. I've been there, trust me, and they have no human interaction. Some people prefer to have no human interaction or very little human interaction because people drive them crazy. Sergeant Major is definitely one of those people. He loves us. He loves his family, but he would do great on the show Alone. You guys have heard of that show where they go up there and you see how long they can last? I mean, he would do amazing. I don't know if he would talk to the camera. It would be very boring. He would have no drama. There'd be no crying. There'd be no, I want to go home, and none of that. It would be boring for people. But he would do great on the show Alone. I don't know about you, but I need human interaction. Whether you are an introvert or an extrovert, you need to stay connected to something. And the kind of people that you choose to spend time around is sadly reflective of what your health is going to eventually be like. So if you have friends, they may be the best friends in the world, but if they are all about Margarita Monday, if all they can think about is the next buffet that you guys are going to, if they plan their vacations around every diners, drive-ins, and dives stop, and they are struggling with health, these are going to be difficult people for you to be close friends with. And the reason is they don't have the same goals as you. They may be awesome friends. You have to keep in mind the old saying is, show me your friends and I'll show you your future, which, some people love that, some people don't. But the truth is, Who you choose to spend time with and who you're connected to definitely makes a difference on what it's going to end up being like. And in fact, this is kind of cool. I don't think it has anything to do with me. I'd like to think it does. But, my chicken friend, Chrissy, she decided to be on a little bit of a health journey and she's done amazing. She had a couple things come up. I'm not going to reveal anything just in case she listens to it. And she's like, thanks a lot, Cari, for telling the world. But she decided to. So I hope that's because of my influence, probably not, but I hope that, and me being around her makes me want to be more like God. So I absolutely think who you hang around with matters. Now, I'm going to talk about connection on a different level. I want to talk about being connected to a group. Maybe you want to be a part of, for instance, my coaching group. Maybe you want to be connected via the phone. Just show you my phone here. And I send you a message every single day. And you're connected to someone who is holding you accountable for your health, who is encouraging you with your health. Maybe you want to be connected to a ladies' Bible study. Maybe your connection is to the church worship team. Maybe your connection is you're going to go online with my previous guest, Heather Centrioni, and you're going to join her coaching and you're going to be a part of that team. Maybe yours is a Weight Watchers group every week. Maybe Nina, a gal that I'm working with on Rock Bodies, ROCC. Maybe you're a part of Nina's group and you love the Rock Body community. You need to be connected. If you want your health to stay in order, you need some sort of connection. Now, the level of the connection depends on you. Some of us are like Sergeant Major. We don't necessarily need to be in a big group. Some of us love the group. We love that atmosphere. And some of us just want to be connected with a friend or connected like my coaching on a very intimate and small scale. It doesn't matter to me, but you need to stay connected. And that is probably the number one trick and tip that I have found. Now, I'm going to try to tell this and I hope I do it right. I hope I do. Hope I don't get my facts wrong. Have you guys heard of the blue groups? If you haven't, blue zones, look it up. Blue zones. I'm not talking about Blue Man Group in Las Vegas. I'm talking about blue zones. So there are blue zones in the world where people live longer and have really healthy lives. And they've gone in and they've studied these groups. Like, why is this one little island in Greece? People are living way past 100. Why is this one place in Japan people are having, and they have attributed to lots of things. I mean, the amount of fish they eat, the kind of activity, and they just have all the things that they attribute it to. It's a fascinating mini series. I believe it's a documentary. You'll have to go watch it. It's amazing. But one of the things they talk about is community. These people have talking like 70-year friendships with people. So very important to stay connected is to stay on track, is to get connected. And I would like to take it a step further and say, get connected to the Lord. Those of you that are listening and not watching, I'm holding up my Bible. Get connected to the Lord. Because God, this is my preachy. Here we go. God absolutely cares about your health. He cares what's going on with you. He cares where you are right now. He cares that you're concerned about your cholesterol. He cares that your A1C is out of control. He is there for you. He made you. You are beautifully, you are wonderfully made. And it is time to let him teach you how to honor your body. And that's also what I'm going to be doing on this podcast, and my coaching is working through that whole idea of honoring our body. But you need to get connected to God. If you haven't, it's time. Okay. Now, some of these things are going to sound familiar because they came from my previous place of employment. But I want you to know these are things that, even though they may sound familiar, these are things that I have found ring true for me. Now, I do not like the saying, you can't fill from an empty cup. I don't like that saying. I don't know why. You can't fill from an empty cup. Okay. And that's in reference to self care, but I want to use it in reference to something else. Listen, y'all, you cannot fill from an empty cup. You need to get sleep. You need to get sleep, not only for weight loss, not only for good health, not only for your blood pressure. They have shown that people that nap every day actually have a lower incidence of heart disease, not only for all those things, But the biggest reason I think sleep is important is when you are tired, you cannot make good decisions. I'm just here to tell you. And when you are tired and you're running off to work and you didn't prioritize your sleep the night before, and the break room is full of donuts, you're going to have a harder time saying, "No, I have my yogurt, my chia seeds. I'm going to go sit at my desk and eat that." You are. You're just going to struggle. You're going to struggle with your health. You're going to struggle in your relationships. You're going to struggle having a kind word for your spouse. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm preaching to the choir. But you're going to struggle with having those kind words and saying nice things and not being frustrated with your kids. So even though that fill from an empty cup, it I don't know why. I think it's because it's so cliche. It's like love, live, laugh, life. Friends gather here. Those signs. But you will have a harder time if you do not rest, if you do not get your sleep. You're going to have a hard time staying on track with your eating. You're going to have a harder time making decisions like getting to the gym, like daily movement. So I truly believe that getting rested is huge. And there are lots of great ways to get rest. But the biggest things I could suggest to you is that you need to get in bed earlier. Yeah, you just do. Don't be staying up till 11 and 12. If I could, I would go to bed at 7 p.m. every night because I wake up at 5:30. I would love that. It doesn't always work out that way. It's usually 8:30 to 9. And that's okay. But on the days that I have to wake up very early to go to work, I do notice I'm running on lower energy and it affects my ability to make the best choices possible when it comes to my health. You got to get rest. Number three, you got to stay hydrated. You got to stay hydrated. Now, I am no longer a part of the shaming you for what you're drinking club. I left that club. I resigned from that club. I do not believe in it. I do not take part in it. Of course, plain water is good for you. Drink it out of the hose. I don't care. For those of you that can't see, I'm holding up my latest cup. My latest. I got so many cups. Drink it out of the hose. I don't care. I do not care what you drink to stay hydrated. Now, I would prefer for good health that you stay away from the sugary drinks, or at least maybe start to exchange out some of those sugary drinks for less sugar drinks. But like I tell my GLP-1 and GLP-2 clients, would I rather see you in the ER for high dehydration because you wanted a Diet Coke, but you were only going to let yourself drink water? So you ended up in the ER because you were dehydrated because plain water didn't work for you? No, that's ridiculous. So listen, Cari is not shaming you for what you're drinking. I would love it if you did not drink your calories. I think that's a dangerous game. Let me tell you a little story about that real quick. Sidebar. I met a lady once who had gastric surgery and lost a goodly amount of weight. And because of the nature of gastric surgery, you oftentimes can't take in a lot of food at once, but she was hungry. So she regained almost all her weight. Would you like to know how? Oh, she made herself a big pot of sweet tea with real sugar. And she said, I just sit and sip and sip and sip all day. So, gallons of sugary sweet tea. She gained her weight back. Now, do I think that sweet tea is the end of no, Lord, no, heavens. Again, I want you drinking. I want you taking in fluids. And you all know the stats. When you feel thirsty, you're already dehydrated. Hunger and hydration run on the same pathways. So your body might tell you you're hungry, but you're actually dehydrated. So these are all things that everybody knows. But if you need to put crystal light in your water, then for heaven's sakes, stop with shaming. I don't care what you put in your water. I just want you to drink fluid. If it's the sugar-free lemonades from Costco, I don't care. If it's whatever. It just would be smart not to drink your calories. That would be my suggestion. But again, I want you hydrated. So cheers. Drink up. I want you hydrated. When you are hydrated, you can make more decisions and you can make better decisions. I think part of the problem is that we oftentimes try to make decisions when we're low on brain power. Same thing with being tired. So you are going to need to get hydrated so you can make the best decisions for your body. Now, Carrie, how much water do I drink? I've also left the club of telling you how much water you're going to drink. Let me tell you a great way to tell how much water you should drink. Check your urine color. I know, it's simple. It's what we do in medicine. I'm done telling you you have to have a gallon or 2 gallons or a gallon and a half or 150 ounces. I'm not going to do that with you. I'm going to tell you check your urine color. If your urine looks like tea, if your pee looks like tea, you need more fluid. If it's dark, if it's light, if it's clear, if it's colorless, you're doing a great job with hydration. So that is my mantra here on hydration. The next thing to help you stay on track is to, ooh, this is a hard one. This goes against everything I used to teach. Are you ready? Accept a stance of food neutrality. Ooh, that is its own podcast right there. Accept a stance of food neutrality. What do I mean by that? What I mean is foods are not bad or good. They are neutral. They're just foods. They're carbohydrates, they're sugars, they're proteins, they're vitamins, they're minerals, they're foods. They're just food. So I am not going to be saying, oh, I got all this bad food in my house. I got good food in my house. It is simply food. And either the food that is in front of your face that you're shoving into your mouth, either it aligns with the plan that you currently have or it doesn't align. That's it, guys. We got to take the emotion out of the food. To stay on track, I've had to take the emotion out of foods. To keep this 100 pounds off, 100 plus pounds, I have to take the emotion out of the food. Food is neutral. And I think I need to write it down. I think this needs its own podcast. And there's an amazing gal out there on Instagram that teaches this with regard to kids. And I really want to explore this topic more about food neutrality. So either you're choosing foods, they're neutral, they get you closer to your goal, or they get you further from their goal. That's all. That is it. That has helped me stay on track. So staying connected to a group, stay connected to the Lord, make sure you get enough rest. You can't fill from an empty cup. Make sure you stay hydrated and make sure you accept a stance of food neutrality. It's like body neutrality. Maybe the name of the podcast should be neutrality. Let me write that down. Neutrality. How do we become neutral? Because when we become food neutral, body neutral, guess what it does? It takes the power away from the food. It's no longer a chocolate bar. And I'm not supposed to have it. And I I bought one. It's in my bag. I hid it in my closet. Oh, I'm gonna eat it after bed, after everyone's asleep. I'm gonna take it to my room. I'm gonna hide it in my sock drawer. Who can relate to what I'm saying? Food has to lose its power over us and it needs to become a neutral thing in our brain. And we need to talk more about that. Even as I'm talking to you, I realize we need to talk more. Are you ready? Next one. Accept the ebbs and flows of good health, of weight loss. Accept the ebbs and flows. Some days the scale is going to go up. Some weeks it's going to go up. Some weeks it's going to go down. Some days things aren't going to head your way. But you have to accept that life is not a minus 0.2 pounds per day flow. It's not it. I have a friend that's losing weight right now, and she was like, I plateaued for 2 full weeks. And then one day I woke up and I had lost 3 pounds. You have to accept that weight loss is going to go up and it's going to go down. Now, we are looking for an overall downtrend. If you're looking at your cholesterol numbers, we're looking at, an overall downtrend. If you're looking for your A1C, we're looking for an overall downtrend. if you're looking at how your clothes fit you, however you decide that you're measuring this, you have to look at an overall downtrend. That's really important. There are going to be ebbs and flows. There are going to be times when you go to the wedding and you had wine and you had wedding cake and you're going to have a bump. You're going to have this. That is okay. If we are always looking for a downward trend, we are going to be disappointed because our bodies are chemicals and it's hormones and it's times of the month and it's stress and it's cortisol and it's sleep and it's your thyroid. It's so much more than just I ate 1200 calories, I exercised 600 calories, therefore I should be down 0.275. Now it just doesn't work that way. I wish it did. Wouldn't it be great? So accepting the ebbs and flows that life gives us with regard to health is really important. Now, if you start ebbing back up, it's time to go, okay, what's off here? Hold on. Which brings me to my next point, which is you have to have a way that you're going to measure success. Now, I came from the team way every day. And let me tell you, that's messed with my head. Now, if I go downstairs and I get my drink and I take some sips and I didn't weigh, I like literally almost want to have a panic attack. That's ridiculous. That makes no sense. That's not the way I want to live. So I believe that you have to find a way you're going to measure. Now, since I've been working with Vibrance, the medical spa, and I've been working with Nina through Rock Bodies, I have had an opportunity to talk to people. And I find that people have a lot of scale trauma. And you may have scale trauma. You may be watching me right now and be like, Cari, I'm not getting on the scale. So here are some things that have helped me and may help you. Weigh once a week, weigh once a month. Go into your doctor's office and ask them to weigh you and ask them not to tell you what it is, just how many pounds down it is. Or, hey, you're 10% down. Maybe that's a good way to go. Maybe get one of those fancy scales that gives you, fluid and muscle and fat volume, and you can look at those numbers. Now, if you can't weigh at all, I understand. Again, a lot of people have a lot of scale trauma. So I would love for you to get online and figure out how to measure your body each week. Around the boobies, around the thighs, your waist for you guys listening. It's different. Upper arms and do it the same place and write down those measurements. That's a very effective, non-judgmental, non-traumatic way to measure your progress. I love doing it that way. And I see a lot of people do that and it works great. But you have to find a way that you're going to measure. Maybe your way you're going to measure is every 3 months, you're going to go in and get your A1C drawn. Now, an A1C, for those of you that don't know, is a glycosylated hemoglobin. It tells us how well your blood sugars have been doing over the last couple months. So it gives us a trend of how well you've been keeping your blood sugar in control. So maybe that's the way you're going to do it. Maybe it's a favorite pair of jeans that you can't fit into. And every Friday morning you wake up and you try them on. You see how much closer you are. I know in a lot of African American people and a lot of I believe it started in Africa, it's the beads around the waist. And you can take a bead off or add a bead and you wear it around your waist all the time. I'm probably not explaining that perfectly, so my apologies. But it's an idea. It's a way to measure success. Maybe for you, it's progress pictures. I've had a lot of people just take front, side, back every week. And then that is a way to help them measure, but you need a way to measure your progress. Otherwise, you don't know how you're doing. And I do not care what that way is. But if you want to stay on track with your health, you can't be out there just floating around. I think I'm doing great this week, but I don't know. I talked to someone who was doing semaglutide. They said, I don't think it's working for me. And I said, well, how do you know? They're like, I don't know. I just don't feel like it. Well, but how do you know? You're giving me zero solid data to go off of. I have no data. I have zero idea whether it's working for you or not. So we got to have some way to gather some kind of data to know how you're doing with your health. And again, that doesn't have to necessarily even be weight related. That could be related to a lot of things. Okay, last trick and tip. Are you ready? You got to have a plan B. You got to have a plan in place for when you're starting to struggle. And I've seen this done a lot of different ways. For me now, I go straight to prayer. I call a friend. I distract myself. But it's lots of ways. If I am staring down something that is not on my current plan and I'm really struggling with staying on track with my health. I'm struggling with getting up and going to the gym. I'm struggling with eating. I'm struggling with whatever it is. I have a plan B. Go upstairs, brush my teeth, get in the bathtub, chew that pack of gum, get that tea, call the friend, get online, watch a motivational video. Some people record videos to themselves, encouraging them when they have a hard time, when they're struggling. Some people have a partner that they can call. Some people have go on YouTube and they can go into like a meditative state with their headphones and some people put on worship music. Some people put on their favorite movie. Some people put a closed sign up in front of the kitchen. Sorry, we're closed. Get up, go for a walk. If you're having trouble getting to the gym, maybe you just put your shoes on and the outfit, even if you don't feel like it, and you just go get in the car and you say, if you go to the gym, then you can stop and get that tank top you've been looking at or stop and get that coffee afterwards. So I don't know what your plan B is, but you have to come up with a plan B. A plan B is needed to stay on track because lots of things will get in your way to distract you, keep you off track. You can work on your blood sugar tomorrow. You don't need to check your blood sugar today. You don't need to go to the gym today. You can start tomorrow. Just eat what you want. You can start over in the morning. Y'all, y'all are like, Cari's you in mind. No, this is all stuff that I struggle with. This is all stuff that I've struggled with. So you need to have a plan B, super important. So let's review them one more time. My top tips for staying on track with your health, things that I have found to be super impactful in my life. I could probably do a whole nother podcast talking about these. Like, really, there's so many, so many. Stay connected to a group. I think most importantly, stay connected to Jesus. Get your rest. Get your rest. Prioritize your sleep. Get hydrated. Again, I don't care how you do it. Just do it. Try to do it in a low sugar way, but just do it. I mean, I'm amazed at how much I used to shame people. Oh, you can't put that in your drink. My gosh, I do not care what you put in your drink. Just stay hydrated. Accept a position of food neutrality and just decide whether this is on plan or off plan. Accept the ebbs and flows of health because they will come. You might have an injury. You might be stuck at a certain weight for several months, not being able to lift anymore. You might have your period and be totally off track. You might have hormone things. You might have some thyroid things. Accept those ebbs and flows. And lastly, but certainly not least, have a plan B. Have a plan B. Have a backup plan. And I personally like to write mine down so I can go to it. Okay, I'm struggling. What was my plan? Because you don't want to plan in the moment. You don't want to have to think of a plan in the moment. You need to come up with ahead of time when you're feeling good about yourself. I'm going to go back and look at my before and after pictures. I'm going to spend some time going over this. I'm going to call my friend and be like, emergency, emergency. Put it down. Just put it down. Got to have a plan B. Well, thank you for joining me today on this podcast. I had a great time talking to you about my top tips and tricks. I want to do one about spirituality, so be looking for that soon. And I also want to encourage any of you that would like to know what I'm doing with coaching. Head over to verycaripodcast.com, click on the menu button, click on You Are Here. I have a daily connection, I try to keep the price really low, daily connection with me and a weekly meeting to where we can discuss these things and we can really in depth, I can encourage you and be there for you. Anyway, thanks you guys again. Let me pray. I don't want to end without praying. Lord, thank you for every single person that is listening to the sound of my voice. Lord, thank you for giving me these ideas. They are inspired by you, Lord, not by Cari and by hard lessons that I've been through that I don't want these people to have to walk through. So I'm going to teach them what I learned. Father, I thank you for them. I ask that you would help them be closer to you. I ask that you would speak to them and tell them what's important with regard to their health, and that you, the author and the finisher of our faith, you love us so much. You care about all these things, and that you would help us, Lord, that you would help us to honor our bodies and honor what you've blessed us with. We love you, Lord, so much. In the name of Jesus, we pray. Amen. I love you guys. Thank you for joining me. Thank you so much for joining me on today's episode. If you would like to find out more about what I am up to, go to verycaripodcast.com. Click on the menu button, and under the tab You Are Here, that's a U and an R and a here, you can find out about the coaching I am now offering. I would love, love, love to have you be a part of what I am doing. Head to the website, check it out, and thanks again for joining me today.